In this video, I'm looking at the IKKO Audio OH10 Obsidian dual driver earphone. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews. So here we've got the OH10 box. Pretty nice. You can see the IKKO waifu on the front there. Some features listed on the back. I won't get into those right now. Pretty nice little box. Inside you get the earphones, you get this leather carrying pouch, and you also get a little pin that you can stick on your shirt or on a bag or something like that, which is pretty cool. So the IKKO OH10 is a hybrid dual driver earphone. It has a single 10mm dynamic driver and it's got a single Knowles balanced armature driver. The BA driver takes care of the mid-range and the treble, while the dynamic obviously does the bass. So here they are, the OH10. These are an updated version pretty much of the original OH1 model, which I have here. So let's come in for a closer look. I absolutely love these shells. The shape is pretty much unchanged from the OH1, and I like that because I get a really good fit with these. They're fairly narrow, so they sit nicely in your ear. They don't stick out too much. They've got a good nozzle length. Build quality is outstanding. I think they look really great as well. The difference between the shells of the OH10 and the OH1, these ones are actually made from a brass alloy, whereas these are an aluminium alloy. And brass is known for its acoustic properties, which is why it's still used in a lot of instruments today. And although it does make them quite a bit heavier, probably double the weight of the OH1, it's an over-ear design and the fit is really good, at least for me, so the weight is not an issue at all for me. You got a 2-pin connector there, pretty standard, a little vent there, and another one at the base of the nozzle. So pretty standard, but really, really nice shells and just beautiful to look at and feel great in the hand as well. So let's have a quick look at the cable now, and unfortunately it's basically the same as the OH1 cable, but this is black and the other one was grey. It's not terrible, but you know, for a $189 earphone, I would kind of expect something a little bit better. This is very generic. The components are nice. The metal components here all matching. They're quite nice, but the cable itself is a bit... Okay, so how does the IKKO OH10 sound? Well, they sound really good, which isn't all that surprising considering the OH1 is also a very good earphone. The OH1, by the way, is I think $139, where this one is $189. So it has I would call it a warm signature. It's definitely got a pretty kick-ass bass on it, fairly neutral in the mid-range, and a kind of lively but smooth treble. So let's break it down now, starting with the bass. And I'll throw up the frequency response here. So these have got a nice sub-bass focus, which is my preferred sound signature. You get a little extra emphasis on the sub bass and then a little bit less in the mid bass, and then it falls off fairly evenly into the lower mid range, so you don't get any significant bleeding over into the mid range, although these do have, like I said, a pretty kick-ass bass. This is some head nodding gear right here, and even if you're a bass head, you'd probably be satisfied with these. I didn't try adding even more bass with EQ, but you probably could. The bass it has a reasonably fast attack. I would call it a medium pace attack, and a little bit longer in the decay. But because of the acoustic properties of these brass shells, it's a very well controlled bass. So it feels very powerful, feels very authoritative, but it's got good control, and it's non-destructive towards the rest of the mix. Moving on to the mid-range now, and the mid-range is pretty neutral throughout. It has a neutral note size. Vocals are very uncolored here. So they don't really have any additional warmth except from a bit of warmth sort of carried over from the bass. But the mid-range itself maintains that neutrality. And that gives you very fast transients. It gives you a lot of clean air in the soundstage. So spaces between instruments is very clean. You get a nice black background going on. Male vocals might sound just a touch on the thin side, but they are very articulate and you can hear all the little nuances and things like that. It's not a sort of a chesty male vocal earphone. Female vocals are a bit more forward and sound probably a little bit more natural. But overall, the mid-range is very good. The resolution is good, and the instrument separation is also quite good. And yeah, that's basically due to the neutrality, the natural or neutral note size, and the uncolored nature of the mid-range. And finally, moving on to the treble. And these have got a really good treble. It is fairly lively. It's not a, I wouldn't say it's a treble head earphone. Actually, if you are somewhat treble sensitive, I don't think you would have a problem with these because it's a very smooth treble. It's not really forward in the mix, but it does have some sparkle. It is a lively one, but they've just done it really nicely. So there's no sibilance to it. There's no harshness. It's just a very nice treble overall, and it provides, it makes the overall sound sort of very spacious and spread out. The treble is very airy and light, and the treble extension is very good too. So overall, these have a really good sound. I really dig it. I can listen to them, no worries. Very enjoyable for me. So let's quickly now compare with the OH1, and the sound signatures are very similar between these two. This is basically just a more refined version with superior technical performance. For example, the bass on the OH1 here is a little bit looser. It's leaning a little bit towards woolly, but the same driver in the OH10 is just much better controlled. There's less unwanted resonance and it comes off as tighter, more controlled. The sub-bass extension is still there, but it doesn't interfere with the mid-range as much as it does on the OH1. And I would say the OH1 is probably just a touch warmer in the mid-range, probably due to the bass being a bit looser and just sort of bleeding over a bit more. There's not a lot of difference between the mid-ranges on these. I would say the OH10 definitely sounds more spacious. It sounds a little bit more articulate and just more refined overall. And finally, the treble. The OH1 has a denser treble. It's kind of more stark, whereas the OH1 is a little bit more diffuse, more rounded and lighter and airier. And while it doesn't give the OH10 the best imaging, it's not really all that precise in terms of imaging, but it's definitely smoother than the OH1. Again, if you are treble sensitive, the OH10 will be better for you than the OH1, but they're both excellent. I would say if you have the OH1 already, there's not really any point in upgrading unless you really, really love this sound signature and just sort of want a slight upgrade. But if you don't have the OH1, definitely consider these. And here we've got the NF Audio NM2 Plus. Now this is only a single dynamic driver earphone. It is kind of designed with the idea of being a stage in-ear monitor for performers, but it's also really good for listening to music. In terms of sound, the OH10 here has a little bit more bass emphasis, but the NM2 Plus bass is a little bit tighter and a little bit faster. And in the mid-range, the NM2 Plus here has more forward vocals. What this one does particularly well, especially considering its price, which is I think $169, what it does really well is timbre, and it's just got a very accurate timbre from all the way from the lowest bass to up into the treble. Everything sounds just right, but it will be a little bit cool for some people. It is kind of a very linear signature. It's tuned to be more neutral, even more so than the OH10. And moving on to the treble now, and the NM2 Plus has a livelier treble. It's sort of crisper. It has denser notes. Again, very accurate sounding, but it might be a little bit too bright for people. If you are averse to treble, this one probably not a good pick for you, whereas the OH10 would be. So to sum up, how do I feel about the IKKO OH10? Well, I really love these earphones. I think they are fantastic. I especially really like the physical aspects of this earphone. I think it's just gorgeous and it feels wonderful. It's obviously, just by feeling it, you know it's a high quality build. And on top of that, it's got a really enjoyable sound. It's got an enhanced bass, which I am a fan of. It's got nice, clean, neutral mid-range, and it's got a crisp but very smooth and non-fatiguing treble. So overall, I think this is definitely a good earphone, and I would say it's still one of the best earphones in that $150 to $200 price range. So if you're looking for something, you know, around that price, definitely consider these. I recommend them. Well, that's about it for this video, guys. As always, there's a link to the written review in the description, along with links to all my social media channels and my Discord. If you found some value in this video, do me a favor and hit that like button, Parfam audiophile style. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more reviews like this in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, see you later.